All right, welcome into Yard Prep here on the Five Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. Follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at Five Reasons Sports. As always, we got Louis D. Sung. You'll find him on the post-game show and on Pulse of Fins Nation as well. We got Eric Wadicki. We'll find him all over the place, including Pulse of Fins Nation. I feel like we forgot we had a baseball team, all of us, right, Eric? Yeah, we really don't. We just have players who played here, who are playing in the World Series. And then we got our guy Fins Mechanic. You can find him on Inside Leverage. Our guy Junior is going to be joining us here today on the pregame show. So let's get to it. Before we get to anything else, I want to mention Prize Picks. Use the code 5, FIVE. Used to be a 1-to-1 match. It's not a 1-to-1 match anymore. It's a 10-to-1 match. You put down $5, they give you $50 to play right away. PrizePicks.com, the Google Play Store, or the Apple App Store. We'll get to some of the props here on the Dolphins. Already did a show with David Eversole this morning. I will tell you, it is tough to find a Dolphins prop I like, but we will get into some of the possibilities here, and I think it's because of a lack of trust level of the head coach right now, whether he'll stick to what he said he's going to do. So let's start there. I know there was some debate. We'll go to you first, Louis. There was some debate here between you and our good friend Hussam Patel, who is nitpicking you over one place in a run defense ranking. As you said, they're the worst run defense in the league. He said that they talk about the Colts. He said they're the second worst. They're bad. The Dolphins have 3 healthy running backs today, right? So is this finally going to be the day? And we're getting to the inactives here. Why don't you read those before we get started?
So obviously inactives, interesting to see that Javon Holland, he had been trending towards playing, but I guess they just ultimately decided to once again do the thing where they protect the player from themselves. So Javon Holland will not be playing. We'll be getting a lot more of Marcus May. We know that Nick Needham has been elevated from the practice squad, so he'll be getting some time at safety, which is a good thing because that's why I wanted him to stick around, because he can play anywhere and everywhere. Skylar Thompson is the emergency third. Jeff Wilson is inactive, which tells you you're going to get a lot of, as you mentioned, Mostert, Achane, and Jalen Wright. Ethan Bonner is inactive again, which means Storm Duck is going to be the guy again. Channing Tindall inactive. Andrew Meyer inactive. Emmanuel Ogbah. Now, that's the one that might hurt the Dolphins. So I know that we have Tyus Bowser on the team now. So they've made it a point to talk about how he knows the defense very well. So hopefully we won't miss Ogbah too much. Notice, and something I see in the comments there, something of interesting note. Guess who is not on this list for the first time this year?
I'm looking. Hold on. Junior, you want to guess? Who we got?
I mean, the answer is literally on the right. You can read it. It's there.
Kamara. Look at that.
Mo Kamara is active for the first time this season. So
okay,
maybe we'll get a little bit of look at the rookie here. So maybe he has something to offer. But going back to your point about the run game, what Hussam is actually arguing is he's not nitpicking about whether they're 31st or 32nd. Hussam is arguing that the Colts actually have a very strong run defense, and he's talking about. Listen, I'm going to admit it. I'm a very much eye test kind of guy. I don't go into the nitty gritty about statistics and X's and O's. I just call a spade a spade. I look at the numbers here listed on the Pro Football Reference, which is usually my go-to for very basic information. So rushing defense, as far as teams are concerned, right now the Indianapolis Colts are averaging 4.6 yards per attempt given. So every rush attempt that they have, the Colts have given a 4.6 yards per attempt as an average. They have given up 155.2 yards per game, and they've given up a grand total of 931 yards throughout this entire season. So regardless of EPA or whether they've just been absolutely wrecked in 2 games, but they've been solid in the rest of them, it doesn't matter. You can obviously tell that they're gashable. Like, they have a vulnerability there that can be taken advantage of. You can talk to me about EPA. You can talk to me about whether or not they based on performance per play or something on whatever. If they get hit for big plays, then they get hit for something. It counts for something. If the Colts are that low on the list, you can mishmash the numbers all you want. The fact of the matter is they've given up a ton on the ground throughout this season. And that's something that I feel like, given that Tyler Huntley is still Miami's quarterback, they need to really lean in on the fact that they have 3 very talented and healthy running backs. And I feel like that's going to be the key to victory for Miami.
Okay, I'm with you on all of this. Eric, I'm sorry, Hussam, but I am with him on all this. And again, I appreciate the breakdowns that Eric and Hussam do. They're excellent. Our guy, Eric Smith. But I to me, this is more psychological than anything else. It's more psychological. This is a mindset. Okay, I don't really care if the Colts have the number one run defense. You need to run the ball. It was effective in the last game. You have 3 healthy running backs. I don't trust the third receiver on this team at this point. And to me, this is simple. This is just get this over with game. Just get it somehow. Get the win and get back. You're just trying to get back to equilibrium. That's all you're trying to do. Tua was trying to get his head back to equilibrium. This team is trying to get itself back to equilibrium. Get to 3-3. Let the Bills and Jets do what they're going to do this week. And whatever ends up happening, you're either going to be a game behind the Bills. I know that obviously you don't have the tiebreaker, you wouldn't be a game behind. You'd be a half game behind, right? Because they're 4-2 already. But the point is, or a game and a half behind. But the point is, either they're going to win, that's the case, or the Jets are going to win and muddle this whole thing up, and then you're right back in the mix. So I don't know. To me, this is a pretty simple thing, and I think that the referendum after a bye week and after what we just saw, the referendum is on the head coach today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, EPA, ERA, NBA, doesn't matter. Dolphins got to run for 150. That's what it is. The thing that I'm looking for in the run game is I want to see balance in the run game, not just balance in how many throws to how many rushes. I want to see a really even distribution of carries between Mostert, HN, and Wright, with maybe even HN leaning a little bit more towards contributing in the passing game. Because like you said, I don't trust the third wide receiver. And the fact that you have a Mostert and you have Wright that can kind of take the lion's share of the carries for the Dolphins. Because let's be honest with it. The Colts are going to load the box because it's no secret what the Dolphins are going to want to do today. So you're going to need your bigger backs, your Mostert and your Wright to kind of be able to break those tackles. HN, you want to put him in space. You don't want to run him into 8-man boxes. It's just not what you want to do with him. So I think that that's going to be the key to this one. Just balance in the run game.
Are you with us, Junior? I mean, how do they set this up? Because obviously the Colts know that this is coming. The Colts have all of their questions of their own. Like it seems, I didn't see the inactives yet, but they've got a ton of skill players. We know obviously Taylor's not playing, but like they've got a ton of skill players who are questionable. So I didn't see which of their receivers is actually going to play. But I mean, we're anticipating, I would think, a low-scoring game and just sort of milking it. So if you're the Dolphins, I mean, is there a tendency to get cute here, or you just go with what worked in the end of the game against the Patriots?
You need to continue to run the ball, and that's what the key is. You need to incorporate the Holy Trinity, I like to call them, between Mostert, Achane, and Jalen Wright. Did what you did last game, run the tough yards in between. I wish Achane played more. I know he got hurt. Give him that explosive runs, the jet sweeps, the outside zones, those type of plays. You want to continue to run the ball and keep the Holy Trinity centric this game. So yeah, I'm with you guys 100%. And even if they're loading the box, you still want to impose your will and run the ball and continue to run the ball. That's what winning football teams do. That's what we need to do moving forward with Tua coming back next week. So yeah, I'm with you guys.
And there are other ways to get guys involved. I know one of the favorite props here today, David's like half a rushing yard for Tyreek Hill. I feel like that's something that you lean into. You try to get him the ball in different ways. I saw it's amazing what's happened with Tyreek now. It's not just him, but we're talking 99.5 was the prop on Prize Picks. And now what is it? It's like 56.5, 6 targets, something along those lines. I mean, I'm inclined to say he's going to back up his words this week by having a big game. I just don't know how it's functional. 58.5 receiving yards there, 21.5 longest reception. I would take that under, by the way. But I mean, the rushing yards, I probably would take over. And even Waddle's numbers. You look at Waddle's numbers, Lewis. I mean, like there's just nothing there lately, and I don't think there necessarily has to be 41.5 receiving yards, 41.5 receiving yards for Jalen Waddle. I mean, with Tua, that's one play, but you can see 46, 36, 26, 41. I mean, this is so. How do you involve them, Lewis? How do you involve them when you've had a bye week with Huntley, but obviously you're going to be scared to throw the ball down the field?
I mean, again, it just boils down to the same thing we've already talked about. Run the football and force the Colts to play run defense and basically stack the box, make it so that, okay, if the Dolphins want to run the football, we'll just shove everybody in there and we'll say, try this, and force Tyler Huntley. They're going to try to force Tyler Huntley to play quarterback. And in a bizarre sort of way, if Huntley is even remotely competent as a quarterback, that would actually be to Miami's advantage, because if you leave Tyreek and Waddle open, and I do mean like as wide open as we are projecting they can be, then that would open the door for them to be able to actually make some big plays. Maybe they could hit those overs that have been eluding them for so long. But and by the way, use the promo code FIVE, $50 when you put a $5 bet in upon your first deposit in. With that being said, Jalen Waddle, like anything involving the wide receivers, quite frankly, I'm just not convinced it's worth it right now. Like even the Tyreek one that you brought up, Ethan, I don't think that's going to happen. Like it's a half a yard for a reason. Like against the Buffalo Bills, he had 12. Against the Titans, he had 19. But then you see this 0, 0, and 0. Like even against the Colts, they had 0, and they won that game. So I do not trust the wide receivers to be getting a whole lot of rushing. I feel like, truthfully, right now, and I think this is to their benefit, Mike McDaniel finally has learned his lesson to some extent and is trying to simplify the game and just say, listen, football's not difficult. Just go out there and be better than the other guys. Like, you guys have more talent. You guys have more speed. You guys have so much more at your disposal than the other team does. And particularly in the case of the Indianapolis Colts, which, by the way, I'm going to just quickly share this tab. This is their inactives list for today. The Colts do not have wide receiver Anthony Gould. They do not have Jonathan Taylor, which is the really big one. You obviously get an advantage there because you don't have to worry about him gashing you. Like, there is a lot that the Dolphins can take advantage of today specifically. But truthfully, if you're going to look at any overs or unders on the Miami Dolphins players, I would personally look at something along the lines of seeing what Tyler Huntley can do with rush attempts. He didn't make it last game, but against the Tennessee Titans, he ran 8 times. I would look at maybe the rushing yards. Again, against New England, he didn't do much. They turned him into mostly a pocket quarterback. So that's what I would look at. I would look at what running backs are doing. I would maybe take a chance on Huntley, try to see if maybe you can see his passing yards. Like, let's see, it's 184. He went barely over that against the Patriots. He didn't do that against Tennessee. I would not anticipate him throwing a lot. I would choose the under on that one. So that's what I would say if I'm a Miami Dolphins prize picks person.
All right, so let's pivot to the other side of the ball now. Go to both Junior and Eric on this. Eric, you made the point on Pulse of Fins Nation that the Dolphins are better off with Anthony Richardson, a quarterback today. That obviously it's a good thing Flacco's not there anymore, because we know what he's done to the Dolphins in a bunch of games. And I was looking at Richardson's props, and Dave and I feel pretty strongly that you play the rushing numbers, you don't play the passing numbers here. They don't have Taylor to kind of play off of. I don't know what worries you. I guess is it just him getting out of the pocket? Barry posted a stat today that they don't have a single linebacker here today who's playing for the Dolphins who has a sack or a part of a sack this year. So what do you do?
I mean, that is what worries me, is the fact that you're going to be without Emmanuel Ogbah right now. The most important thing for when you're playing a quarterback like an Anthony Richardson is that your pass rushers are disciplined in their pass rush. And the one thing that worries me is the fact that you're going to be leaning as hard as you are on a Chop Robinson, on even a Mo Kamara, as I think he's the third edge rusher right now. You have Robinson, Bowser, and Kamara. And 2 out of those 3 guys, Bowser's been in the league a while, so you can kind of trust him to do what he needs to do as far as not over pursuing on the pass rush. But I worry about Chop and I worry about Kamara. Number one, getting Richardson down because he's just as huge. Number 2 is if those guys get too far up the field, you're just giving him open lanes to run the football. And that's what I think needs to be the focus here. Is you cannot allow him to escape the pocket and make extra time for himself. That's how Josh Allen has beaten the Dolphins in the past. It's how Anthony Richardson will beat the Dolphins if he does beat the Dolphins today. So I think it just comes down to being disciplined in the pass rush, and then the most important thing is winning first and second down, getting the Colts into third and long situations where he has to throw the football. Because if you get the Colts continually in short yardage situations, Anthony Richardson is too big, he's too fast, he's too strong. He's going to get it one way or the other. So I think controlling first and second downs and being really disciplined in the pass rush is what they're going to have to do today.
Junior, is there? I mean, we come into the season, you say, okay, you got Phillips healthy, you got Holland, you got Ramsey, you had some elite players there. Now you don't have Phillips for the rest of the year. Holland's out today. Agba, who has done a really nice job this year, kind of a bounce back season, is not there. Who's going to make the plays? I mean, Van Ginkel's in Minnesota. Who's going to make the plays? Like who's going to turn the Colts over and put Huntley in better position today?
I think it's going to be a team effort. It's going to come down to Weaver calling in more simulated pressures, kind of confusing Anthony Richardson. And if he does escape the pocket, you kind of want to make him feel uncomfortable, make him feel pressed. It's one thing to escape the pocket and have that rhythm, that confidence that you're going to make a player either running or throwing. But then there's that other side of running out of the pocket, feeling pressed to make a big play when you know you're not supposed to make that throw. So it's a two-sided part to that. And I think it's going to ultimately come down to the team and how they approach being a little aggressive, having better blitzing concepts to kind of get a free man open and make the sack or affect the play in general. So I think that's what's going to come down to.
All right, let's take a look at some of those Colts props while we got it, Lewis. If you can pull those back up again, and see what we like here. I was inclined to play their running game under. In general, I mean, I don't even know where they go today. I guess Pittman is active, right? That's the key one? So, I mean, we've talked a lot about Jalen Ramsey sort of shadowing a guy. Is he good enough to shadow with the rest of their sort of issues at receiver talent right now?
I mean, I'm not worried about Jalen Ramsey or Storm Duck I don't think did Kendall Fuller get put on IR while I wasn't looking?
No, he's active. I think
he's active. So
he's active,
yeah, with Michael Pittman is in severe pain right now. Hussam Patel is petitioning very strongly to plead his case because he wants to say that he's right about
bring him in.
The Colts run defense. Go ahead, Hussam. Go ahead. Explain to me why I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Hussam, you got a minute though. You got a minute. I want concise. Go for it.
What do you need me to say?
I don't need you to say anything. We want you to say so. We want you to state your case. That's all.
State my case on what exactly? I just came in.
You just came in to join pregame for the funsies?
Okay, no, we were discussing the point because I know you and Lewis had a little bit of back and forth on Twitter, so we just wanted to engage with it on it. Of course, Hussam handles a lot of our Dolphins content on the 5 Reasons Sports Twitter page as well, and is part of the scouting combine. No, Hussam, the idea again of just, I mean, the four of us are all sitting here, and it just seems like, okay, just run the damn ball. Just run the damn ball. That's your best chance today. And don't get cute. You had a bye week after kind of, running the ball down New England's throat. You're a little more nuanced than that, so we're allowing you to provide the nuance.
Yeah, I mean, everyone says run the dang ball. I'll say execute the damn play. Numerous times the Dolphins have run the damn ball, and they've had a rush over expectation that is above average in the league, and it hasn't produced the results that everyone has wanted or that we're used to seeing compared to last year. This year, the Dolphins ranked 31st, literally second to worst in rush EPA. Literally, they are the second worst running team in the NFL in terms of efficiency and when they are running the ball. Compared to the pass, they're 14th in passing with Tua, with Skyler, with Tyler Huntley. The issue isn't that they need to run the ball more. It's that they need to execute the damn running plays with their tight ends and with their blockers. That's the biggest issue. And if you guys have been watching Eric and I breaking down the offensive line and the blockers in the run game, Julian Hill is the prime suspect. Durham Smythe, even though he hasn't been on the field as much, is also a prime suspect. Alec Ingold, except for the New England game, is also a prime suspect. Those guys have to be on their A game because guards like Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg cannot replace the same production Robert Hunt and Isaiah Wynn provided the beginning of the season last year.
Okay, that's
So,
fair.
what does
Go ahead. Who wants to jump in first?
Counterpoint.
Okay.
What does that have to do with the Colts' run defense?
So the run defense itself is similar to the Dolphins' run defense as well. Kind of like how the Dolphins' defense has been gashed by 2 or 3 plays. Everyone all of a sudden wants to throw their hands up in the air, from the Miami media to Dolphins fans on Twitter and Facebook. Oh my God, this run defense is so bad. Well, the reason why you keep saying the Colts' run defense is so bad is because they're like the Dolphins' run defense. They get gashed for 2 or 3 big plays, and they don't really, have a bad run defense itself. In terms of context on third downs and second downs, they're actually a pretty decent run defense like the Miami Dolphins are. It's about the Dolphins offense getting those 6 or 7 yards on first down to be on second and third and manageable to keep that Colts defense on its toes.
All right, Junior, I'll go to you on this now. Well, let's look at the overall picture of this, okay? That as he's talking about the tight ends, the other parts of the offensive, I don't want to say the accoutrements to the offensive line here that are supposed to make the run game work are not working. I thought Smythe was a pretty good run blocking tight end last year. Not bad. I mean, obviously not Gesicki or anything else along those lines. And obviously we've talked about Ingold quite a bit. I know he was great in the New England game. Well, what you got? Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
No, but I'm asking what is different in your view here, because they did run the ball. Our whole thing last year was not that they didn't run it effectively; it's that they didn't run it enough.
I mean, I do think what Hassan was saying, it's as far as the 2 guards is correct. Well, as far as the interior in general, we don't have the guys that we had last year. I do follow Eric Smith, and I do agree the tight ends have been kind of struggling, and it's also the play calling and design of what were the blocking concepts. I thought as well that kind of put us in bad positions. So I think it's not just mainly them. I think that certain situations where we are running inside zones or in between the tackles, we don't do it enough from what I've seen early on in the season, and I felt like that kind of affected our average running and being successful in that part of it. So Hassan is correct, but I think McDaniel and the some of the other factors kind of play to it as well, not just the tight ends.
All right, let's go around here a little bit, because this is a huge game. I don't think there's any question. Like we talked about, you lose the Patriots game, to me the season was sunk, but in this one you have a chance to kind of make everything that happened early in the year go away. I mentioned this, Eric. The AFC sucks. I am stunned because that was not supposed to be the case, but there are literally 4 teams in the NFC North that have a better point differential than any team in the AFC. 4 teams in one division, and it's actually the Bills who have the number 1, and I don't think they're any kind of juggernaut. So, I mean, you look at the AFC, it's not what anybody was anticipating it would be. So let's get to it. I mean, do they pull themselves together today and basically get it to Tua? That's like all you're trying to do is like it's like you're a baseball guy. It's just like basically like this is a middle reliever game, right? Like this is a middle reliever game. You're nursing essentially a 7-6 lead. All the shit's all over the place. You have a closer potentially in there, not Rivera maybe, but I don't know. Maybe Lee Smith go back in the day. You got a pretty decent closer. You need to give him the ball with a lead, or at least a tie, okay, where something could be done here. Can they do it?
Yeah, I think that I think they'll be able to pull it together. I think the defense will be just good enough. I think the offense found something a little bit last week in New England. I think Tyler Huntley will connect on at least one deep ball today. Just one. Doesn't have to be more than one. And the Dolphins win 21-17.
Hussam, what do you think? You're still there?
Yeah, I'm still
They went-
here. I think that this is going to be an ugly game. And I do hope that even though if it is going to be an ugly game, it's going to be an ugly win for the Dolphins. And to Junior's point, the Dolphins have strayed away a little bit from their run scheme. They're running more power runs. They're running more man and dual runs, and they have a negative EPA per play. They're really good in counter plays. They're really good in trap plays, and they're really good in outside zone plays. They just need to get back to what they were good at, and they'll be fine. As for Tyler Huntley, he just needs to play like a game manager. He needs 1 to 2 to maybe 3 deep shots to a Tyreek Hill to a Jalen Waddle to get the Dolphins over to midfield and get the points either in field goals or even touchdowns. And you're going to be in this game like they were in the game with the Titans. They were in the game up until late in the game. They were not. They were late in the game with the Patriots as well. I do think that they're going to win this game, but it's going to be like a 16-14 type of ordeal.
Okay. Junior, they win. I'll let Lewis close.
Of course, I agree, and I do think it will be a low scoring game. I do think you just got to run the ball and then take advantage of the opportunities as far as the passing game. I really like what they did against the Patriots, and you got to incorporate that heading to this game. And I know the defense is going to do their job. I would love to see us try to get an opportunity as far as turnovers, put our team in a really good position to continue our lead. But also, I definitely need the special teams to get it together, man. We would love that third phase of the game to kind of pick us up as we try to be 3-3 heading to next week.
All right, it's a good point. Actually, took Jason Sanders over 1.5 field goals. People know how I feel about Jason Sanders in general, but I just think we're going to have stalled drives. And I think that McDaniel has learned his lesson that just take the damn points. Like, just take the points. He's going to go over the edge there. I think they lose, by the way. I'm not with all you guys on this. I understand the Colts are completely beat up. I'm trying to figure out who on the Dolphins defense is going to make the play to make this easy on the offense. There's a lot of youth in terms of what we're talking about. In terms of, again, we talk about Kamara playing. Chops, the big role for Chop today. I don't know who they can rely on as playmakers. I love Sealer and obviously, but I don't know who they can rely upon as playmakers. And I just think Anthony Richardson's legs are going to be a problem today. So I think it's a low scoring game. I think it's like a 17-13 type situation. But again, I'll take Sanders over. Lewis, take us home.
I think that I personally believe that, as far as I'm concerned, if Miami wants to win this game, like I said, I think they're going to have to bank on rushing the ball. I get all the EPA stuff. I still call a spade a spade. They're giving up a ton of yards on the ground. They are vulnerable. So I say just roll with that, continue to push and make it so that whatever success they had last year is the same players, aside from Wynn and Robert Hunt not being there, which Robert Hunt wasn't there for a lot of the time because he was injured last year. So that's something to keep in mind. So I personally feel like that Miami will run the ball, maybe not as much as we're projecting they will, but I think they will run the ball significantly. And in doing so, Tyler Huntley, who has had more time to learn the offense, may be able to find some guys open in just average out the passing a little bit. I don't want that to be their game plan, but I want them to, they still have to be able to throw it to some extent. So I do believe that Miami will come out on top. I think it'll be something along the lines of a 17-14 win. It's going to come, it may even come down to a Jason Sanders field goal. But again, I'm going to continue to predict low scoring until we get Tua, who is projected to show up next week with against the Cardinals, which, hallelujah, thank the Lord. Maybe we can finally get back to some semblance of Dolphins normalcy.
Oh yeah, that's right. Just reset. Just get back to par. That's all you're trying. Just saving par. This is the Dolphins saving par on their season. All right. Thanks to Lewis. Thanks to Junior. Follow Inside Leverage. They're here every Wednesday night. Eric and Lewis, you can find them every Tuesday night. Of course, Hussam every Tuesday with Eric Smith as well. So check all of them out. Plenty of Dolphins content here on the channel. Of course, check out the other content. The Canes now 7-0. Vish and Larry Bluestein did a morning after episode today. That's on the channel. And yeah, we've got like 7,000 Heat videos and everything else. They start on Wednesday. You're probably aware of that if you follow us. Anyway, have a good day.
Have a good one.